Good morning all, it's Ian here. I hope this finds you well. I just wanted to record a short message that I hope would be of some encouragement to you at the moment. This probably would have been the next message that I would have recorded as part of our series at Church The Pennine. I hope this does find you well. I know these are really strange and unprecedented times that we find ourselves in at the moment. It's been great that so many of you have signed up to Slack. Slack has been an attempt for us to all stay connected, but of course we can stay connected in lots of ways. Please do expect phone calls from different members of the staff team over the coming days and weeks. We're really seeking to keep in contact with everybody, to keep everybody connected at the moment. And that's really, really important when we're not able to meet together as we normally would as a church family. Please, if you have any sort of need, or if you just need a chat, please pick up the phone and speak to one of the staff team at church. We would be delighted to serve you in any way that we can. Nobody should feel alone at the moment. We're really keen that people are feeling connected. So if we can serve you in any way, as I say, please do pick up the phone. The series we've been doing at Church The Pennine, I've called Walking the Christian Walk. And we've been thinking about what does it practically look like in our lives to be followers of Jesus? What do we need to do to ensure that we're being as effective as we can be at living out the life that God has called us to? Particularly today, as I say, would have been the next message that I would have been recording, is how do we care for ourselves, first of all spiritually, how do we care for ourselves emotionally, and how do we care for ourselves physically? All three are really important. Many of you know that back in 2012 I suffered quite a significant period of depression, and actually my main learning point that I came out of that period with was how the three are linked, how our spiritual life, our emotional life and our physical lives all are linked and all directly impact each other. I really felt I wanted to cover particularly the emotional state, our emotional life at the moment, but also our physical life. We find ourselves in very strange situations that are perhaps for many of us very different from normal. But how do we ensure that we're caring for ourselves emotionally and physically in particular? Of course, the spiritual is important. Of course, it's important that we have that regular time with God, that prayer time, that time reading our Bibles, our time of worship. But actually today I particularly wanted to focus on, as I say, the emotional and the physical. God is bothered about our emotional and our physical life. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 19 says this, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God?" It's really clear for us to remember that God is bothered about our bodies. I want to suggest that for us to be effective as followers of Jesus, to be effective in shining God's light out into the community we serve, we need to be bothered about those things too. I think it's fair to say that church has done a pretty good job. And when I say church, I mean church in general. Church has done a pretty good job of guiding us in our spiritual lives. As I say, really, really important. But I think church hasn't done such a good job of speaking into our emotional and our physical well-being at times. This time of lockdown is, I think, for all of us, a real need for us to focus on our emotional and our physical health. So I just want to spend a little bit of time just focusing on that and giving us some things to think about, maybe some things to challenge us and to think about differently in the time that we find ourselves in at the moment. Emotionally, how are we guarding our minds at the moment? How are we ensuring that our emotional health stays strong? I know I'm an extrovert. I gain energy, I gain purpose from spending time with people at the moment. So actually, at the moment, that's a little bit of a struggle for me because I am that extrovert. If you're introverted, it might not be such a struggle for you. But actually, for me as an extrovert, I need to guard my emotional state at the moment. As I say, I've had a few instances of depression and I've had to really focus on this over recent years. But particularly at the moment, how are we guarding our emotional state at the moment? Are we engaging in different activities? Are we trying to break up our day into different segments to do different things that will keep our mind active? Are we reading? Are we listening to music? Are we worshipping? What are we doing that is keeping our emotional state as good as possible? It's really easy at the moment to get a little bit too hooked on social media or watching the news on the television. That's not a bad thing to do. It's not a bad thing to do at all. It's been great to engage with people via Slack, but just watch the amount of time that you're doing that for. Our emotional well-being is so key at the moment. I know what has helped me at the moment is just seeking to plan the day out, to have different activities that fill the day. So it might be a time of reading, it might be a time of doing some puzzles, might be doing some crosswords, whatever works for you, just to break up the day, to break up that monotony, because it's that monotony that can sometimes impact our emotional state in not a good way. So what are you doing at the moment to keep yourself emotionally well? I know it's really difficult in times of isolation to feel properly connected with people, but as I said at the beginning, we can be connected at the moment. So please do pick up the phone, contact people from church. Make that part of your routine each day, just to send a couple of messages to people, just to encourage them, just to say that even though we're separated as a church family at the moment, that we stand together. It is so, so important as followers of Jesus that we guard our emotional health really well. Physical health, that's something I think we really need to focus on at the moment as well. Obviously, this is dependent on our age, it might be dependent on our physical ability, but actually we need to be as physically active as we can at the moment. Of course, there are some stringent government guidelines in place at the moment that we really should only be exercising once a day, but actually we should be taking advantage of that if we're able to, if we're physically able enough to get out for a walk, to keep ourselves physically active. What can we do around the home? Maybe you're lucky enough to have a garden, so maybe some gardening is something you could do to keep yourself physically active. There's all these different things that we can do. Please do remember the guidelines that if you are out walking or running or cycling, please do keep that social distancing that we're required to do. Do you know what I've really discovered? There's loads of things online that can help to keep us physically active. Many of you know that I enjoy spending time at the gym, that I enjoy living out and keeping fit and running and so on. That's been really hard for me because the gym of course is closed, but actually there's loads and loads of stuff on YouTube. I hope many of you, if you've got young children, you have found the PE coach Joe Wicks on YouTube. We've been doing that as a family. It's 8:30 each morning. We've done it the day from before. It goes live on YouTube at 9 a.m. But we've done that. We've made that part of our routine to keep us all physically active at 8:30 in the morning. Do you know there's all sorts of ideas on YouTube of all sorts of exercise, ranging from simple chair exercises that you can do right through to high intensity exercises. Whatever your ability is, whatever your physical ability is, there will be something that you can find. My encouragement at the moment is for you to stay as active as you can. Obviously, of course, based on your health and your physical ability, but do whatever you can to stay active. It's so important at the moment that actually we're caring for ourselves physically. Part of that, of course, is about the food that we're putting into our bodies. Many of us are less active. I know I'm doing less steps at the moment, but we need to watch actually how much we're eating at the moment. It's really easy in times of isolation, perhaps when we're feeling a little bit low, that actually we start to eat a bit unhealthily. We start to fill up on biscuits and crisps and unhealthy things. All of that is okay in moderation, but we've just got to be really careful that we're caring for ourselves physically in terms of the food that we're putting into our bodies. I want to suggest we need to watch the quantity of food that we're eating, but also it's really important that we're looking at the quality of the food we eat. I know there's a lot of thinking that actually it's sometimes more expensive to eat healthily than it is to buy the more processed foods. I'm not so sure about that. There's lots of different ways that we can eat healthily and we can ensure we're getting enough fruit and vegetables. Maybe this is the time for you to actually seek out doing some cooking that you've maybe never done before, that actually you can seek to make things from fresh, according of course to your abilities and what your budget might be. But it's really important that we're just watching the quality of the food we eat at the moment. There are so many good things that we can eat. Fruit and veg, as I say, make sure we're getting that. But there's also food that's packed with lots of good vitamins. So make sure we're eating that and we're trying to stay away from the stuff that is perhaps not so good for us at the moment. The final thing to think of how we impact ourselves physically, I think, is make sure we're drinking plenty of water. It's really important that our bodies are hydrated. That keeps our bodies healthy. It keeps us doing the right things. To make sure you're drinking plenty of water at the moment. And just watch, as I say, the quality and the quantity of the food that we're eating. It's really important during these times of isolation that we are looking after ourselves emotionally and physically. I hope I've been able to guide your thoughts on that. I hope you found this encouraging. Please don't feel condemned by this. Many of us are in a place where sometimes we would struggle with some of this. I don't want anybody to feel condemned. Of course, I want to encourage you. So I hope that you have found this encouraging. Please do continue to connect via Slack. Please do pick up the phone if we can serve you in any way. If you've heard for the last couple of minutes a dog whining in the background, that's because Poppy's in the room with me at the moment. So if you have heard that, I've been trying to ignore it, but you've maybe been laughing along as Poppy's been whining in the background. Please do continue to look after yourselves. Please keep connected in. God bless you, and we'll speak again soon.